Hello friends, this is our second lecture on intentional and affective fallacy. I have written only intentional fallacy here because we are now dealing with intentional fallacy only. Alright, so actually what is it all about? This is all about in search of a quest, you can say, in search of a standard for literary criticism. Make it a scientific, more objective. So the efforts made by Professors Wimsatt and Beardsley, it was towards a certain standard principles for evaluating or judging a work of art, isn't it? Now we hear about intention. What is intention? Intention is a design or a plan in the author's mind. The design or plan in the author's mind. For example, T.S. Eliot, think of T.S. Eliot writing The Wasteland. Took years for him. I think it started in 1919 and then it was published in 1922. So how many years? 19, 20, 21, 22. So roughly about 3 to 4 years. So that is the intention or design of the author in the author's mind, the way he felt and what made him write. The way he felt and what made him write. This same case with all poems you can see, or novels, or dramas. You have got a design, you have got it. Just as suppose you build a house, you plan to build a house. You have got a design in your mind, you have got certain ideas. You go to the architect and then he draws a plan for you, and if you agree, you start constructing. Then what is in your mind? Why do you construct? Like that. That's so simple as that. Intention is so simple as that. Now the question there is, you have this intention. Some people object to calling this fallacy. Fallacy means error. It's not an error. In fact, it is an inference, I would say. Not error, but inference. See, intention, what may be the intention of the author. So it is an inference, isn't it? Instead of error, some people, they don't like it. So why don't we change it to inference? For our understanding. We cannot meet Wimsatt and Beardsley and say that, please change it. No, but we understand it like that. It is inference. In a way. I am not changing it, I am just giving an opinion. Alright, so this is not a subject of widespread questioning. There was a widespread questioning, not a subject of widespread discussion. There was a debate between professors. You might have come across the personal heresy. The personal heresy. This is a debate between Professors Tilliard and Professor Lewis and Tilliard. So there was a debate between Professors Lewis and Tilliard about this, and that debate was called the personal heresy. But it was not a question of intention, and intentional fallacy was not a question of a widespread discussion, or widespread questioning. So Wimsatt and Beardsley, they say, the design or the intention of the author is neither available nor desirable, not necessary. So that is the fundamental principle about this. What is intention we saw? What is happening in the literary world we saw. Here and there in the pockets, some pockets here and there are some discussions. One such a discussion is the personal heresy. There is a debate between Professors Lewis and Professor Tilliard. Now he says, for us, he says, us means they both of them, not me. For us, or me or you. For us it is, they say, design or intention is neither available nor desirable, not necessary, he says. So, what you find is, these are all different critical attitudes in the history of criticism, in the history of evaluation, you can say. See, the principal points, there are several issues involved in this. And those issues I will list here. When we say intention of the author, we have seen what is intention. But what are the issues involved? Say you have got issues like inspiration, authenticity, biography. See, you can see inspiration. Inspiration. Second is authenticity. Issues involved, authenticity, biography. Third is biography of the author. Biography of the author. See that? So these are issues involved in this. Not just we say what is design, what is invention, and then go. No. You have to go through all the literary history and scholarship. See? Then you also find that poetry, especially its allusiveness. That is some trends in contemporary poetry. Understand? So literary history and scholarship. Fourth is that literary history and scholarship and some trends. Fifth is trends in contemporary poetry, especially you find allusiveness. Again, the best example for allusiveness is T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. 60 quotations and 40 others. More than that, what you find. So you can say half of the poem you will find it is stuffed with allusions from different authors, from classics to modern, right up to Upanishads. No? Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. That is the end of it. Alright. So therefore, you have to consider these are issues involved, like the inspiration. So what is the role of inspiration in the creative art? Creation of, say in the writing of a poem. Authenticity. How far dependable? How dependable is this inspiration? Authenticity. Inspiration, also inspiration of the author. Biography of the author. How the background, the life of the author has influenced. Literary history and scholarship. What are different trends in literary history and scholarship? From Aristotle onwards. Aristotle, in a way, we can say that he is for standing for inspiration, isn't it? He stands for inspiration. Yes. Okay, we will see imagination. And then trends in contemporary poetry and allusiveness. So when you have got allusiveness, whose invention is that? So 2/3 of a poem is allusive. You are quoting from this side, that side. No, so whose intention is that? These are questions that you have to answer or we have to consider. Alright. Now, after this, what we find is they are Wimsatt and Beardsley. They are defending their position. So like a chamber of lawyers now. They defend their position. And they give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reasons for that. Why intention cannot be taken into account, taken seriously into account. They agree that other things also we can, definitely biography we can, social life we can, then anthropology if you want we can, culture we can, but their insistence is that please don't think that they are excluding these things. They are not. What are they trying to tell you is the focus should be the text. Text should be the focus. Other things you can consider, but don't supersede the text. So they defend their position by giving 5 points. Point number 1 is it that poem is not, a poem does not happen by accident. No, not at all. It comes out of the head of a person, not out of a bat or a hat. That's what Professor Stoll says. So my cap has come, please, may I pick it up with your permission? Yes. So, that is the way, sorry, cap slipped. What can I do? So it is not within my power, see. Yes, maybe. Now, what you find is Professor Stoll. So he says that It doesn't come out of a bat or a hat. Understand? Designing intellect is the cause of the poem. No doubt. Designing intellect is the cause, the efficient cause. Aristotle's theory of causality, for anything there are four causes. First is the material cause, second is the formal cause, third is the efficient cause, fourth is the final cause. If you take an example of a table, material cause is wood, then formal cause is the shape, material cause, formal cause, efficient cause is the carpenter, final cause is its use. Like that. Everything has four causes behind it. Anything that happens in the world has four causes behind it. Understand? So the efficient cause is the poet. Who is against? Nobody is against. He is the cause of the poem. But the design or intention as a standard to judge and evaluate the worth of a poet's performance cannot be accepted. Very clear. Poet is the cause. Poet is the author. Agree. But the design or the intention of that person should not be taken as the cardinal points or the main points for judging and evaluating the worth of the performance of a poet. For example, by studying the biography of Wordsworth, suppose as Wordsworth, let's take it like that. Then how are you going to, what way does his biography influence the daffodils or the poem London? You may say that Indian Abilene says there's his growth and his development you may find in the Indian Abbey lines. You may find. Even without knowing the biography, you can evaluate the poem. That's what these people say. See, whether this is 100% correct or not, I am not the person to judge. I am only just giving you the argument put forward by these two great professors. All right, say. I am not on this side or that side. I am in my position is a neutral position. Understand that? I am just telling you these things for us, for academic people to understand. Okay. Then, so what is the first point? The poet is the author or designing intellect. Designing intellect. But that doesn't mean that the intention, designing intellect or the intention should be taken as the basis for the judging the performance of the poet. That's the point. So judging the performance of a poet, is different from his intention. Understand? Intention should not be taken as the design should not be taken as the basis to measure or to evaluate or to critique the performance of a poet. Clear? Okay. Then second point he says is, if the poem succeeds, you will say, if the intention is perfectly okay. Suppose it fails, then what about the intention? What is the importance of the intention? Or how will you take it as a criteria? So, second point is, if succeeds, then you say intention is okay. We will say okay. Suppose fails, then how will you find out what fails what? What means, what is the intention? So, it is neither available nor desirable. In the first case, it is not desirable. The second one, it is not available. Understand? So, when you say there is an intentionalist, his name is, means who supported, his name is J.E. Spingarn. J.E. spin, J-R-L, spin gone. Now he makes a statement, a relevant statement, but he himself contradicts that. Or you can say, his statement he deconstructs. The fault lines are there. Or what he says, he contradicts. For example, what he says? He says, the poet's aim must be judged. Aim means what? Intention. The poet's intention must be judged at the moment of the creative act, not any other. See, focus is on the moment of the creative. That is, what does that mean? That means the art of the poem itself. See, he supports intentionalism. So you can see, if you want to put it like inverted commas. He is a very strong intentionalist. But he says that poem's intention or the poet's aim should be evaluated or considered when it is at the point of creation. That means, what does that mean? So you have to take into account the poem, the work of art only, not any other. It seems that he supports intention, but at the same time, he contradicts himself and supports Wimsatt's and Beardsley's views. Understand? A third he says that, a third point he says that if the main point is that in third the main point is that is a poem. See, a poem. There is no, don't consider about, well, don't consider or do not base the success or failure of the poem depending on whether it has succeeded in communicating. Not clear, isn't it? See, if you think about a pudding works if it is very sweet and tasty. Alright. A machine works if it does your work. Don't consider a poem like that. That's what they say. A poem should not mean but be. That's the point. Poem should not mean, means meaning, but it should be. That's the thing. Don't consider about whether it does work for you. It does a work for you. Or your desire is fulfilled by reading a poem. Sometimes what happens? It may not communicate at all. But at the same, it remains a great poem. I think of the wasteland. For how many years there's an industry, so to say, a critical industry to find out the meaning of it. Or Ulysses, James Joyce's novel Ulysses. So such works, they are there. They are be, not mean. Means meaning. Don't try to excavate and find out the meaning. You can try, but if you fail to arrive at the meaning, don't say that this work is a failure. Now, when you fail to arrive at the meaning, what is happening? You fail to arrive at the intention or design of the writer or the artist. So here again, the first proposition stands neither available nor desirable. Because a poem it need not mean anything. It is there. It should be. Means it exists. It can exist as a great work of art without meaning anything. That is not meaning anything means we don't understand. That's the meaning. So a poem should not mean but be. That is what they say. So there is no excuse for inquiring into the intention of the author. Poetry is a feat of style. Poetry is a Poetry is language used in a special style. It is a feat of style. Then what happens is, a complex meaning is handled all at once. In poetry, complex meaning is handled all at once, to be or not to be. Example. Love is not love, love is not love that alters when alteration finds. See? Or that is complex meaning. Handled all at once. Another example. You have got April is the cruelest month. And then you have another one. A thing of beauty is a joyful. Head melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. So these are examples, yes. Isn't it? So, it's a poet, the language of poetry is complex. And it handles meanings all at once, complex meanings all at once. It succeeds if it is relevant. And if it is, it should succeed. And why? Because all irrelevant things are removed from there. To be or not to be. All irrelevant things are removed from there. Understand? So therefore it succeeds. Understand? Just as you will remove lumps from pudding or bugs, we can say, from machinery. So it's so clean and clear, so transparent, we can say. But at the same time, you may not be able to arrive at the meaning. Because poetic language is a special, a unique language. Understand? Once again I said, it's a special language, special use of language. Literariness, you say, special use of language. Or to use the term coined by Victor Shklovsky. Victor Shklovsky. Defamiliarization. The poet uses language to defamiliarize, to make something strange. Therefore, what happens is, it is complex meaning handled all at once. Complex meaning handled all at once defamiliarizes the thing. Therefore, a poem need not mean, but it should be. In that case, how are you going to find out the intention of the author? Where is the aim of the author there? So, neither desirable nor available. Neither available nor desirable. So, what is the third? That is the third point. Then the fourth point is personality and the state of mind. The poem expresses the personality. It expresses the state of mind, not anything outside, say an apple or a LED bulb. No. Poem expresses the personality of the author, or you can also say the state of the mind of the author at the time of creation. But the difference is, it is not the state of the mind of the author when he sits in a coffee house and takes the coffee, sips coffee. It is the point of, when he creates, he is a dramatic speaker. He is not the ordinary man. It is not his aim or his intention, but something else comes in. Even a very small lyric is dramatic. You remember probably that home they brought her valiant dead. It's a very comparatively a small lyric, but it's dramatic. The Patriot by Browning, dramatic. What about the opening of the wasteland? Dramatic. April is the cruelest month. Defamiliarizing and dramatic. Understand? What we say about death and so on, we will say. Hamlet in the soliloquy says that undiscovered country from whose born no traveller returns, puzzles the will and makes us suffer these ills which we have learned to fly to those that we know not. Defamiliarize. To use again Victor Shklovsky's term here. Defamiliarize. Therefore, you come into contact with a defamiliarized language and situation. So where is the scope for finding the intention of the author? Yeah. Understand? So that is the, so fourth one is, we can say, poetic language. Personality, yes. Personality, yes. State of mind, yes. Because as we have seen, it is not anything other than that, an apple or an LED bulb, but the poet is a dramatic speaker. So his intention, probably he might have his personal intention, or even the situation where he stands, he might have forgotten. So it's something else. A defamiliarized situation. There is no scope for any intention. Understand? And fifth and most important, which I already told you, I think I made this remark in the introduction. The Wasteland's original script, 1,000 plus lines. It was handed over to Ezra Pound and he edited 434 lines. So whose intention is the poem? That this, even just by putting forward this argument, you can say that intention is neither available nor desirable. Because where is whose intention is there? Editing and revising. Sometimes the same author edits and revises. Then, what about his intention? When he wrote the first script, that intention, the present script, intention changed. The third script, intention changed. So, you cannot find out, or it is useless to go after a searching and trying to find the intention of the author. It's a waste of time. So 5 reasons. Here it is revision. Revision and editing. We can very well give the example of the Wasteland because it's well known in the history of literature. And Eliot himself has acknowledged Il Miglior Fabbro, the greater worksman. So whose intention is this poem? Therefore, Wimsatt and Beardsley, they reject the idea of intention for judging a work of art, and they call this an error or a fallacy. But we can say that trying to infer the intention as a basis for critical judgment is an error. That way we can say fallacy, error, inference, etc. we can use. Alright, so when it comes to this, what is it? There is Professor Stoll says, Professor Stoll, we always, what he says is that, why should the critic worry about the conscience or the mind of the, working of the mind of the author? See, why doesn't the critic be conscious of his own mind? That's what it is. There are two we can see two conscience here. One is the conscience or the minds here. One is the mind of the writer, the other is mind of the critic. And he is asking this question, oh you critic, why do you bother about his mind? Why don't you examine your mind? Be conscious of that. Why do you think that the poem is his will? A legal word will. No? You register your will. When you become old, what happens is you write a will. Who should share your, inherit your property? Or is it a contract? He is asking. Do you think that it is a will or a contract or a constitution? That you should examine these things. See? Why don't you examine your conscience? Why don't you try to use your reasoning and power to judge the work of art, rather than trying to explore and excavate the mind of the artist. That's what Professor Stoll says. It's not a constitution. The poem is not, and the conclusion of this section, means today's class is, the poem therefore is neither that of the critic nor that of the poet. The critic doesn't possess it. It is not his possession. It is not the possession of... The moment it is created, the work of creation is over. It is detached from the poet. And you cannot, the critic cannot possess it, but the critic can look at it. And they can marvel at it. Understand? Instead of going after the intention of the writer. Because the intention has left him. He is a dramatic speaker. Another very interesting thing I have to do. See, from our own experience. Suppose you are a poet and you write a poem. After 5 days, somebody comes to you and says, "Sir, will you please recite the poem that your poem that you wrote?" I don't know. I have forgotten. What does that mean? That means, at that particular moment, the state of mind, I created this. Now it is gone. So, there is no such thing as called a permanent intention. This you can try with your friends. If you have got a poet in your class, you can try this with your friends. You will see that the poet, he is a poet or she is a poet, and she has written a poem. After 15 days or 20 days, you go to her and say, "Please, you have written it, but do you remember it?" She or he will say. So what has happened to the intention? Finally, we come to the conclusion that the poem is neither that of the poet nor that of the critic. Then whose is the poem? It is the property of the public. The poem is, at the end of this argument, giving 5 points, says it is public property. It is a public property. Understand? Because the material is public material, that is language. And it is given to the public. The poet does not keep it in his hands. So, the poem is a public property, it is public language, public property is used. Therefore, like any other topic in general science, in linguistics, or in psychology, you can also discuss and also try to study and evaluate it. Understand? Like any. That's why you have got different branches of knowledge and so on. Sigmund Freud's psychoanalysis. And then, taking inspiration from that, there are other people doing it now. Lacan, for example. So, that's public property. Once it is out, you can do your work on that, the critic. So the poem is independent of the author. And the critic need not go after the author in search of his intention at the time of creation. Alright. So what is intention? The debate going on in private quarters between Professor Tilliard and Lewis that we saw. Intention definition we saw. 5 reasons why you should not go after intention. One is designing intellect is important person. He is the efficient cause. But that should not be taken as basis for objective or scientific criticism. Second is succeeding or not succeeding. If succeeds, you will say intention has been fulfilled. If not succeeds, if it's a failure, you will say intention is not fulfilled. So then what is the use of intention? That's what he says. Third point is a poem is a special, the language, special, unique use of language. Poem. And there's a complex meaning handled at once. Defamiliarizing. So, even if we go after searching for the intention of the author, the work may not yield its meaning, ultimate meaning. Understand? Then, personality, state of mind agreed, but it is the dramatic speaker who writes. And third, in revision and editing, whose intention? And supporting this argument, sixth one is the poet does not remember what he wrote. He doesn't remember it forever. So that also if you want you can have. Because of this 5 + 1, 6 reasons, says the poem is a public property. It is neither that of the critic nor that of the poet. As Professor Stoll says, don't look at a poem as a contract or a will or a manifesto, contract or will or a constitution. So it is there, an object that you can work on it. I hope you have been following my argument. Thank you for listening. We will continue this in the next few classes, and then till then, bye. Have a nice day. Enjoy your life. Fine.